On the ominous evening of November 28, 1994, within the grim confines of the Columbia Correctional Institution in Wisconsin, USA, a chilling chapter unfolded involving the notorious serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. The name Dahmer had become synonymous with macabre tales of a Milwaukee monster who had claimed the lives of at least 17 young, gay, black, and brown men, leaving a trail of gruesome murders that spanned 13 horrifying years. Jeffrey Dahmer, serving 15 consecutive life sentences for his savage crimes, is one of the most famous serial killers in the world. His modus operandi involved luring unsuspecting victims that he met in local gay clubs back to his apartment under the guise of a promise to pay for nude photos. Back in his apartment, Dahmer would drug his victims, rape their unconscious bodies, and strangle them to death. He would often have sex with their corpses, as well as mutilate their bodies, and most disturbing of all, cannibalize their flesh. As Dahmer languished in prison, fears for his safety intensified. Rita Isabel, sister of Errol Lindsay, one of Dahmer's victims, had long envisioned his demise. Inmates reached out to her with ominous phone calls, promising that justice would be served within the prison walls. Rita, scarred by the impact of Dahmer's crimes on her family, expressed a grim satisfaction with the prospect of his fate. The prison staff shared these concerns, recognizing Dahmer as one of the most infamous killers of all time, making him a prime target behind bars. The whispers within the prison walls spoke of an unwritten code. Killing Dahmer could earn an inmate an honored place in the dark annals of the prison hierarchy. Dahmer's initial year in prison saw him placed under protective isolation, but the authorities deemed it safe for him to join the general inmate population. This decision proved fateful, as a couple years later, on November 28, 1994, the wheels of retribution were set in motion. Christopher Scarver, an inmate with his own troubling past, entered the prison around the same time as Dahmer in 1992. Scarver, convicted for the 1990 murder of Steve Lohman, grew up amidst severe racism, dropped out of high school, and succumbed to a life of alcohol abuse, drug addiction, and criminality. His troubled mind was haunted by delusions, and he believed he was the chosen one. Scarver was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia. On that fateful November morning, Dahmer, Scarver, and another inmate named Jesse Anderson were assigned to clean the prison gym during the second year of Dahmer's prison sentence. Scarver, heavily medicated for his mental struggles, claimed provocation from the other two. He claimed Dahmer and Anderson were laughing at him behind his back during the 20 minutes that the three men were cleaning the gym. Fueled by a sense of divine intervention, Scarver attacked Dahmer and Anderson with a 20-inch metal bar. He first bludgeoned Anderson and left him for dead before focusing on Dahmer. Scarver asked Dahmer if he truly committed the crimes he was imprisoned for, to which Dahmer responded, "Yes." Scarver brutally beat Dahmer with the 5-pound metal bar before returning to his cell and telling a prison guard that God made him do it. The motivations behind Scarver's brutal assault were complex. Scarver claims that Dahmer would play pranks on other prisoners, using ketchup as fake blood and pretending to eat human flesh in the prison cafeteria. These claims were denied by the lawyer defending Dahmer in court, who stated that while Dahmer was a murderer, he would never joke about his crimes or the death of his victims. While this could be true, it should be noted that in high school, Dahmer was known by his classmates to be a prankster and a practical jokester. Another potential reason behind Scarver's actions were racial tensions. Dahmer had consistently targeted young, black men in his crimes, as their disappearances were more likely to be ignored by police. Dahmer claimed that this was not the purpose of killing black men. Rather, according to Dahmer, he simply found black and brown men to be the most attractive, and so selected them as victims. Still, regardless of why he chose to kill black men, due to the racism of the police, he was able to get away with his crimes for years with ease. Additionally, Anderson had tried to pin his crimes on two black men, like Dahmer, using the racism of the law enforcement to his own advantage. A final possible motivation was the perceived lack of remorse from Dahmer played a role. Scarver's own troubled mental state and disdain for the Milwaukee cannibals' unrepentant attitude factored into the tragedy. Scarver claims that he did not kill Dahmer for his crimes. but rather for the lack of shame and guilt that Dahmer supposedly displayed. That is what disgusted Scarver more than anything else. It is believed by some that the guards intended for Dahmer to be killed, as they left him alone with Scarver, a highly unstable and unpredictable character. Perhaps they knew exactly what was about to unfold. However, this theory is just speculation and has not been proven true or false. Dahmer and Anderson were found brutally injured on the floor of the prison, and despite medical intervention, both succumbed to their injuries. Dahmer died hours after arriving in the hospital, despite efforts of the paramedics to save his life. Anderson died 2 days later. The prison world, in its twisted sense of justice, had claimed 2 infamous lives. Families of the victims were divided on the issue, with viewing the death of Dahmer as an injustice, as they wanted him to rot in prison so he may feel the pain that they were feeling. Others, on the other hand, celebrated his death with great joy. In the aftermath, questions lingered about the prison guard's disappearance during the 20-minute window, the motivations behind Scarver's attack, and the eerie circumstances leading to the demise of 2 of the most infamous criminals in American history. As the prison walls closed in on Scarver, he navigated a torturous existence. Despite his attempts to plead insanity, he was found guilty of killing Jeffrey and Anderson, and suffered in the tortuous and cruel confines of solitary confinement for over a decade. His cell had no windows, the lights were turned on 24/7, and in the summer, the room would become unbearably hot, reaching temperatures of up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. These deplorable and abusive conditions no doubt worsened his already damaged mental health. Scarver filed a lawsuit on the grounds of cruel and unusual punishment, because of his schizophrenia and previous attempts at taking his own life. His case was thrown out, and he was forced to continue living in solitary. The Oxford apartments, where Dahmer committed many of his heinous acts, were eventually demolished, leaving behind a vacant site that bore witness to unspeakable horrors. After his death, there was a controversial attempt to auction Dahmer's possessions, including items that were used in his gruesome crimes. These items included an 80-quart aluminum kettle, a handsaw, handcuffs, a 57-gallon drum, and chemical-resistant gloves. Perhaps NNE of the most controversial of these items was the fridge that Dahmer kept the body parts of his victims in. For a second time, the families of Dahmer's victims were divided, as 11 of the families wanted financial compensation, and so supported the auction as a means to receive it. The rest of the families, however, saw this as a disgrace to their loved ones' memories. A civic group, Milwaukee Civic Pride, emerged to prevent Dahmer's legacy from lingering. With the backing of real estate magnate Joseph Zilber, they raised funds to purchase and destroy Dahmer's possessions, erasing the physical remnants of his dark past. In the wake of the prison tragedy, scars endured for both the victims' families and the troubled soul of Christopher Scarver. The tale of retribution within prison walls serves as a chilling chapter in the annals of prolific serial killers, where the boundaries between justice and vengeance blur in the shadows of heinous acts. Why do you think Scarver killed Jeffrey Dahmer? Tell us your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to subscribe for more videos like this one.